RVol? So a lot of you, just like the king of crypto, Mr. KOC here, have been asking, what is RVol? And RVol is actually spelled RVol, where the VOL stands for volume. And I'm going to show you what RVol actually looks like and where I get it from. So this is my TC2000. It's the best software, hands down. I recommend it for anyone trading the US market. RVol is simply this indicator here called volume buzz. Now, how do I get this? All you have to do is go click here, add value column, type in buzz, and you'll get the volume buzz. It's as simple as that. It's auto-generated. You don't need to change anything. It's all there. Now, what is this RVol? Now, this is a number that tells you what volume the stock is trading compared to how much it trades on average. So this number can be either green or red or zero. If it's green, it means that the stock is trading more volume today than it trades on average. If it's red, then it's telling you the stock trades less volume today than it trades on average. So let's see the highest and the lowest and see what they're showing us today. So GFAI is showing me a relative volume or volume buzz of 2,200%, 2.2K, right? That actually means the stock is trading 22 times the volume that it would trade in an average day. This is something that we can also see on the charts to really understand it. This white line here is the average volume that it trades in 50 days. The average volume is around 2.6 million. This stock has already traded 16.5 million shares today, and the volume buzz is projecting that by the end of the day, if the same rate continues, the stock is going to trade 22 times the average volume, which is 22 times 2.6 million. Same way for BMEA. Let's take a look at this. This is the average volume that it usually trades, which is around 800,000 shares. And based on the current rate at which the stock is getting volume, the volume buzz is projecting that by the end of the day, the stock is going to trade 50% more volume than it usually trades. So around 1.2 million in total, 800 plus 400,000. It's 1.2 million. On the other hand, let's take a look at something that has red relative volume. So this means the stock is trading very little volume today compared to what it usually trades. Hold on a second. I just need to check an alert that just popped up. Okay, all good. Yep. Back to CERT. So if we see this on the volume chart, this is the 50-day average volume. And as we can see, it's already almost 2 p.m. and the stock has traded very little volume. So the volume buzz is telling us that at the end of the day, the stock is likely going to trade just 25% of its usual volume, or 75% less than the average volume. Okay, so that is all that RVol is. Now, how do I use RVol? Usually, whenever I enter a stock, I'll always put in the RVol value at the time that I'm buying it in the tweets. And this seems to confuse a lot of people who understandably ask, how can you tell the RVol that early? Do you have an indicator? So how do I tell this RVol that early? It's by using the same volume buzz indicator. What we need to remember is that, say we're buying this stock now at 2 p.m. we don't really know what the final volume for the day is going to be and how many times the average that's going to be, right? So this volume buzz makes a projection that based on the data so far and based on the amount of volume so far, what is the end of day likely going to look like? So this is never going to be 100% accurate, except at the end of the day. And as we progress more and more into the day, the projection will be more and more accurate. So at 9:30 or 10 a.m., it's going to be wild and wildly inaccurate, but it still gives us a sense of direction. Are we trading higher volumes so far than we usually trade up until this time or not? So that is how I figure out what the RVol is likely to be at any given time. Like in this trade, which was taken at, I think, 10 or 11 a.m., it was able to project that the volume at the end of the day would be double the average volume. Okay, so now let's go through a few examples of how I use the RVol. So say this is what my watch list for the day looked like. What is this telling me? Well, what it's telling me is two things. One, most of the stocks in the watch list are down on the day. So if I'm looking to buy a breakout, then the environment is not really good for that, and I should stay away. Two, what it's also telling me, based on the RVol, is that these stocks are going down on heavy volume. Now, volume actually confirms the price. So it tells you whether the price movement is likely to stick or not. So in this case, it's telling me that yes, this price movement is likely to sustain. And since stocks are going down on very heavy volume, I should definitely stay out and not try to buy breakouts right now. So you might find one stock in your watch list that's breaking out, but are you going to be desperate to buy that one? Most likely not, since the environment is not conducive to breakouts. Now, suppose my watch list looked like this in the morning. What is this telling me? Ask yourself. Well, first, it's telling me the market is really good, conducive for breakouts. Most of the stocks on my watch list are green on the day. And second, they all have high volume, which means a lot of serious buying is coming in. This is the kind of environment in which you want to buy breakouts because they're the most likely to actually have follow through. Let's take another example. And this is my real watch list from today that I just took a screenshot of in the morning. So what is this environment telling you? Here, the percentage change is mixed. So a few stocks are up and a few stocks are down. But also look at the percentages. The stocks that are actually up, are they up big? No, not really. It's just a 1%, 1%, less than 1%, and 1.5% move. And more importantly, look at the volume bars. Everything is red except one of them. Now, in this kind of environment, I'm not really convinced that buying is coming into the market, and more importantly, that it's going to have any kind of follow through. So this environment would again make me want to sit out. And that's exactly the reason why I didn't buy GFAI in the morning, even though I saw it breaking out, because it was the only one on my watch list breaking out. Now, of course, it did have follow through. So this is not a foolproof system or not going to work every day. What we're dealing with though is probabilities. And probabilistically, this was very unlikely to have follow through given that the rest of the market was not really going up and there was no volume coming in. Now let's take a last example. Say this is what my watch list looked like. Predominantly red and no high volume movers. What am I going to do in this environment? Again, sit out. This is not telling me that a lot of buying is coming into the market. There's very few stocks going up and that too by a very small amount. But more importantly, the volumes are not there. If the volumes are not there, the likelihood of follow through is really, really low. So this again would not interest me and make me want to sit out. So hopefully this gives you a good sense of what RVol is, how we can get an indication early in the day and at any point in the day of what the RVol is going to be at the end of the day, and the four different scenarios that you're likely to see every morning of what your watch list would look like, and how you can interpret that price and volume change. Whether you should be bullish on the market, bearish on the market, and how aggressively you should be buying breakouts based on what the RVol is telling you. Okay, now there's one more way to use the RVol, and that is to combine it with news. That makes the RVol even more powerful. Sometimes what you're going to see, and this is a live example from today itself, in a stock that I currently hold a position in, and this just happened an hour ago. I suddenly saw the RVol on this stock go up. You can see this on the 5-minute chart as well. Volume came in and suddenly the RVol turned from red to green. So when situations like this happen, what I usually like to do is search if there was any kind of news item that just came out that made the stock pop. So I just went on Twitter and searched for AMPX, and I found this. Amperius Technologies is preparing to supply commercial level shipments to AeroVironment in support of blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is what it just tells me is this positive news. And as soon as this news came, the stock got a pop. Now, how will I use this combination of news and RVol? Since I was already in this stock from here, and it had popped up to here and started to go up on big volume, which was backed by news, I just moved my stop loss up to break even and made the trade free. So my thinking was that since it's going up on legit news that is positive, preparing to supply, that's all you need to know. Those are the keywords. If the stock is truly bullish, it's not going to take out the low and definitely not going to take out this low, which was my buy point. And I could just move the stop up here and make the trade free. And by the trade becoming free, what I mean is, even if my stop loss is now hit, it's going to exit me at the cost price and I'm not going to lose a single dollar on it. So using the RVol in combination with the news can give you a lot of minute data that can actually help you manage the trade much better. And you can actually do the same thing when you're entering a stock as well. TGTX, for example, when I bought it on day one, when it was gapping up, with gap ups, you usually want to check if there is any kind of news. And if there is, then that's a super positive, and that gives you more additional impetus to get into the stock. So stock going up is good. RVol added to that makes it really good. And then if there's news behind that RVol, that makes it really, really good. That's the bottom line.